Okay, okay.
Alrighty then. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. I am Shon Williams, the host, and you can call me the president of the Safe Room Podcast. And today we are back with another episode. This is episode 3 since we've been here on Love Bay Radio. And today I have a fantastic guest with me today. So let me just quickly read out his bio just so you guys can get the 411. So he is currently a full-time personal trainer and martial arts instructor specializing in Muay Thai, kickboxing, and boxing, certified in teaching all three. So basically, if you're trying to catch the hands, he's not the person you want to do that with. But all jokes aside, this is someone that I met a while back and we've had a really great relationship. And with his business that he's running, Rob's Health and Fitness, it has been doing wonders, whether it's been training clients, teaching within school boards. This is someone that I see has put in the work and the effort. And I think it's time that we give him his flowers here on the Safe Room Podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I have Mr. Rob TAYLORt. Rob, how are you doing?
Hey man, it's great to be here. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Now it's cool. We actually were supposed to do this for a while ago. A couple setbacks and whatnot. But I'm glad we finally get to actually do this now. Finally, like no more setbacks, no more delays, everything. Yeah, man, it's great to be here. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you giving me my flowers. I got to give you as well, bro. I'm voting for you. I'm hoping you win that 25K grant.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's details for everyone that doesn't need to know. I don't want to put that on the
Oh,
radio,
shoot.
but
Okay,
sure,
okay.
it's all good. But I appreciate it. It's real, recognized, real. I really appreciate it, Rob.
Yeah, okay,
But
okay.
today, man, we're gonna talk about you, just your business, how you operate it, because I find it's very interesting. I've interviewed a lot of people, and their business models have always altered and changed. But I think for you,
Mhm.
kind of like having that aspect of martial arts and how does it help, clients not only, get fit, but also, with their mindset as well. So I definitely want to tap into that, kind of talk about your personal journey. But before we get into those main questions, we have to start off with our first segment, which is the hot seat. So, Rob, I have 4 questions for you, and I just want you to answer them to your best abilities, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. So, for the first question, so outside the work that you do as a personal trainer, tell me
Mhm.
something about yourself in one sentence.
Tell me about myself. Well, I'm pretty much, I'm very calm and quiet. I'm very observant as well. I'm 30, turning 31 this year in September. And yeah, I love going out. I love to have fun. I like trying new things, trying different stuff. When I'm not in the gym, and business planning, strategizing, trying to get new clients. When I'm not working, when I'm not doing nothing business related, I like to enjoy video games or watch TV. Man, I'm a big fan of '90s cartoons. Like nostalgia is always it's always my favorite.
That's great to hear. Do you have a particular favorite 90s cartoon?
Oh, so many can name. Right now it's gonna have to be Batman the animated series. That's one I'm currently watching right now.
Oh, that's a good answer. That's
Yo,
a great answer.
oh man, like it's the classics. Like it's like some of these episodes I remember watching, and some of them like, oh, I don't remember seeing this one. I'm like, oh, but it's always cool to see like, okay, how does Batman get himself out of these situations, right? So can't go wrong with Batman.
Absolutely, you can't go wrong with Batman. There's also X-Men 97. I know they're starting to bring that
Oh
back
yeah,
for
yeah.
Disney Plus.
No, I'm really looking forward to that one. The new X-Men series is coming out.
Yeah, it should be interesting. But I like how you even explained the whole situation for you, like in the Batman animated series, just like how he's gonna get out of different situations. It's something
Yeah,
that, Batman, we all know for people, like he's like one of the most infamous superheroes of all time. His just detective skills, being able to be so witty. I think, I see elements of that in you as well, how you're trying to like strategize, like you mentioned, with your business plan,
appreciate it, man.
with the stuff
Appreciate
that
it.
you're doing. So I mean, I really like the analogy from that. So that's nice
Mhm.
to hear. Okay. The second question I have here, and this one's interesting. I want you to tell me a form or a martial art form that you haven't learned yet, but you wish to.
Uh, I'm trying. I would have to say, shoot, there's so many I would like to learn. Top of my head, fencing. Fencing is really good because fencing also, believe it or not, Bruce Lee he developed Jeet Kune Do, and like one of the foundations for it was fencing, right? And the stance, I believe. And what I like about fencing too is just it's just you're just using a sword, like sword fighting, pretty much. But it's a lot of balance to hold up that sword and like actually aim that at your opponent, and while maintaining that stance and maintaining a distance, right? But yeah, definitely, I'd say fencing. I've been wanting to learn fencing for years, actually.
Yeah, honestly, I've never seen fencing like personally live or even on TV or
Mhm.
anything like that. So I feel like that would be interesting for sure. I know obviously a lot of people kind of poke at it like, oh, it's just like you're just fighting with sword and you're just poking someone. But I feel like there's a lot of skill and technique that no one really talks about it within the sport of fencing. I mean, the most times I hear about fencing is like the Olympics. That's pretty much it.
Mhm. Oh yeah, definitely. Like it's very underrated, but like you obviously you have to wear the full body gear, right? And obviously there's like a I think like a ball point on top of yeah, there's like a ball on the end of it, on the point, right? So you don't like actually stab someone, right? But yeah, no, fencing is really, I think is really a high level intelligence fighting. You have to have like a good fight IQ, right? So like you're not just randomly aiming, right? And also what I like about fencing, it also helps improve your boxing too, right? Like the footwork, right? Because the what I like with fencing is the style, like the stance is very linear, which is similar to boxing, right? Because boxing you're very linear, right? Or we use the term bladed, right? So with fencing, it's almost like you're using the sword is almost like an extension of your arm, like you're using it to hit your opponent, right? And like you have to be straight and accurate.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay. All right, we're on a good roll. I like how we're going with this. So,
Mhm.
the third question I have here, an interesting fact that you rarely share about yourself.
Interesting fact. Okay. Believe it or not, I was actually the mascot for the Scarpa Shooting Stars. Not a lot of people knew that.
Wait,
Yeah,
are you serious?
I'm serious. Yeah.
Wow. I need more details now because that's like a pipe bomb right there. Hold on, I need more
Oh yeah,
details.
a lot of people don't know that I was actually the mascot last season. Wasn't for all the games. It was for about a few of the games I did it. Actually, a friend of mine, he's in charge of the dance choreographers, right? So he planned all the dance choreography, right? And he hired all the dancers, right? So like if people actually pay attention, they'll see like some games where it's like the dancing is way better. I have two left feet. I'm being honest. I don't know how to dance that well, but like just I'm good at entertaining, right? I'm good with kids, right? So he told me about it, and I just helped fill in for him just a few games. But it was fun, man. Like doing that, the mascot, and I'm telling you from now on, wearing that costume, you get super hot, right? There is a
Yeah.
built-in fan inside, but it gets very hot inside. But you have kids coming up to you, hugging you. Sometimes like it's it's very hard to see inside. It's like a couple times I'm trying to turn. I'm like, okay, who's hugging me? Like, who's grabbing me? Like, funny story. Like when we were doing the launch for the second season, I was at Scarborough Town, right? And like this little kid, um, I think he was like Ethiopian, right? Like a cute kid, but he just kept hugging me. I'm like, I had to like push him off, right? Like I gotta, take pictures with the other kids. I'm like, I felt bad because the little kid, he's just there. He wanted, he wanted someone to play with, right?
Mhm.
Kids love the mascot, but like, sometimes the kid was getting a little clingy, so I had to kindly, just gently push him off. I'm like, I just told security, I'm like, okay, can you just watch this kid? I'm like, no, just when I get to the other kids, just watch him specifically because he's gonna, try interfere. you know. But yeah,
Wow.
I actually love doing it. I don't know if I'm gonna do it again this season coming up, but we'll see.
Honestly, if you do it next season or this upcoming season, you need to invite me to a game because, like,
I'm
honestly,
excited
I
to.
feel like now that you told me
Yeah,
that, I feel like I'm gonna be that annoying individual, just like, "Hey, Rob," it's like,
yeah, yeah.
"Hey, do you see me?" It's like, I won't call you out. It's like I know there's probably like a secret identity in a way as well, but I think that's very interesting.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Well, it was fun actually because like the first season, my friend he did it right. Like he did all the games and like plus he runs a construction company full time, right? And so like it was hard for him to leave his job, come do the game, go back to his job. You got to deal with the dancers, you got to deal with a lot of stuff behind the scenes, right? It's fun though, but I'd ask them, sometimes I'd help him out with the costume. I just help him out with some of the stuff, right? Like even though you try to show me some of the choreography, I'm like, yo, I'm not getting it. I'm like, I don't know if it's just me, I'm slow, or just I have two left feet when it comes to dancing.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Listen, I'm the same thing too, man. Two left feet. There's someone else in the family who can dance better than me. I'm not gonna say who they are, but you know who you are if you're listening to this. But let's get on to the final question for this hot seat segment. Final question here. What is your personal safe room? So, what is a safe space? It could be physical or mental that allows you to be your authentic self.
A personal safe space? That's a good question. I don't think I have one, but if I were, I just say just being home. Sometimes being at home is just like the best place for me. Sometimes I can't wait. Like once I get home from work, I can't wait to be home. I'll quick shower, hop in bed, rest, you know. I started listening to sleep music on YouTube, and that puts you to sleep instantly. That's like honestly, if it's been a long day, a long stressful day from working out or just training clients, I'm like, go home, take a shower, eat, go to bed, sleep.
I think that's really good. Again, a lot of people have different methods of how they go to sleep, whether it's like you mentioned, sleep music or white
Mhm.
noise. Maybe some people will listen to a podcast as they go to sleep. And,
No,
I think
absolutely.
yeah, I think that's really great because, I actually like your answer because I would have thought, like, perhaps you're going to say maybe the gym because since that's something that allows you to kind of probably stress out or like relieve any stress from everything that's going around you, but I like that you said, home because again, it's something where you're able to again still let go of the stress, but you
Mhm,
feel your most comfort. You feel like you're most like snug in a way. And I feel like a lot of people, again, they give that same answer, but everyone has like a different reasoning. So I like
mhm,
how for you it was, going to sleep, having something like sleep music by your side to just
mhm,
kind of like again de-stress, kind of reflect on the day. I think that's really nice.
mhm. Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, I enjoy being at the gym. I'm like my parents can tell you this. I'll spend a whole day at the gym, and as much as they cuss me out for it, I humbly take it because this is what I love. This is what I do. It's my passion, right? So, but they tell me every day you're going to the gym. Wait, the gym I feed you? I'm like, okay, okay. I don't know what you want me to do. I'm like, I'm here working. I'm training clients. I'm trying to make money. And they're like, yeah, whatever. Jamaicans they kiss their teeth at you. I'm like, what can I do, right? But
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I mean, listen, you're doing your thing. You are doing your thing. So it's not that it's going to waste, man. So I mean, again, you're definitely put it into work and we're definitely gonna get into that right now since we've kind of wrapped up our hot seat segment. But again, to everyone coming in right now, you are listening to the Safe Room podcast here on Love Bay Radio. We're here with Mr. Rob Taylor, a personal trainer, and we're gonna go a little bit more deeper into his business and his personal story. So the first question I have here for you, Rob, and we're gonna kind of continue the martial arts talk because I do want
Mhm,
to know how your journey did start, like why you got into martial arts, and just when did it happen where you wanted to transition your passion to now this is something that I can start as a business and, start helping clients, whether it's getting into the right shape or helping them get in the right set through my expertise and
Mhm.
through my personal experience in martial arts.
Um, I'm trying to think. Okay, so for martial arts, as a kid, yeah, I'm always into cartoons, anime, Dragon Ball Z. Huge fan. Like for people that know anime, Dragon Ball Z is one of the staples of the '90s. Like you grew up watching that. I'm like, Goku, Vegeta, all those characters, Cell, Frieza, all of those guys. Like, I really love fighting animes. Video games, Soul Calibur, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Virtual Fighter, Dead or Alive, all those games, those fighting games were my specialty. Actually, those are the only games that I was good at. Um, I tried racing games. I was horrible at it. Single player games, that's whatever. But fighting games were always my specialty. Like WWE, wrestling, grew up watching, WWF, guys like Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, all those guys, like Jeff Hardy, like, that's what I grew up on, right? So I always liked fighting. Like, I have four brothers, so we'd always play fight, growing up, or we trying out wrestling moves, right? And we'd always watch the Chinese kung fu movies, the Jackie Chan movies, Jet Li. I've watched Bruce Lee. I watched Shaw Brothers. For anybody who don't know who they are, check out Enter the 32 Chambers. Is it 32 or 36? I'm so
I think
bad. I can't.
that may be like the Wu Tang, that the
Yeah,
36
yeah.
chambers
That's where
ones.
Wu Tang originally got it from. Yeah, Enter the 36 Chambers, right? So that's where Wu Tang got it from, the Shaw Brothers, right? Because that's what Wu Tang was based off, a Chinese kung fu movie, right? And
Hmm.
but that's the thing. Like those are classics, right? People don't like, okay, yeah, bad subs or whatever, the acting, whatever. But it's serious stuff, man. And like, growing up, my dad always told me about how he was in Jamaica. He learned martial arts, right? He learned a special type of martial arts where, like, you can kill opponent in like one hit, right? My uncle's the same thing too. My uncle actually has book from Ip Man, Bruce Lee's master, right? And it shows you different moves that you can actually defeat your opponent, or permanently injure your opponent, right? And like I've studied that, like learning about Wing Chun, right? The different martial arts, right? So as a kid, I've always been into martial arts. I always had a fascination with it, right? Even as a kid, I took karate. That's where I started as. And I believe, where did I stop? I stopped like at Orange Advanced Belt. My parents couldn't really afford it anymore, right? So, oh yeah, that's it. Like martial arts has always been a passion. Always loved it since I was a kid, right? From since I can remember. You're on the computer playing fighting games. That's me, right? So that's how it is. I always love fighting, never stop. I've always developed. Even now, like now it's different when I think about it, because like now I I watch fights, or I watch like UFC, or like one championship, or Bellator MMA and all those stuff, right? I watch it now, right, to develop a fight IQ. Okay, what's the fighter gonna throw? What are he or she? What's their next move, right? And even some of my sparring videos, I watch them over. And I'm like, okay, where can I improve on, right? That's the thing, right? So like martial arts is not just about learning how to fight. It's also about defense, and also about intelligence too, right? And a good way to develop your fight IQ is playing chess. And that's one thing I learned from a friend of mine, right? And see how I incorporated in business was when I realized, okay, when I was in college, I realized, okay, how am I going to incorporate martial arts into health and fitness? So I thought, okay, why don't I just make a business about training martial arts, right? And then I realized my teacher is like, okay, all you're doing is just incorporating the same elements. You're basically just training the movements. So if I want to throw like, always say like a front kick, right? I would do I would do leg raises, or I would do standing toe, or be doing like toe touches, something like that. If I
Mm,
want to if I want to improve on my striking, I'll shadow box, right? I'll hit the speed bag, right? Do
mhm.
some bag work, right? So certain little stuff like that is how I realized, okay, I can incorporate that, right? So that's pretty much it when it comes to training, right? You're training the movement, right? So every exercise and everything you do has to have a purpose. It has a meaning, right? So you have to know the amount of sets, the reps, right, and their tempo that you're doing, right? Because everything matters, right? So when some people go to the gym, you have to know what you're doing or what you're working on or have an idea, right? You can't just say, okay, today I'm going to do legs. What's the purpose of you working on your legs, right? Are you strengthening your legs? Are you conditioning them, right? Are you trying to tone them? Like, what are you doing, right? So, and that's what I realized when I was in college. I'm like, okay, so basically I'm training the movements, right? And like I want to train for a specific thing, right? So if I want to generate power, right, I would do less reps but more explosive technique, right? So a good example, jump squats, a good way to build explosiveness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much how I got into martial arts, or how, and how I realized how I can incorporate into my business.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack, but I think that's really great because again,
Mhm.
you started off saying that you watched a lot of like what was it, fighting video games, just
Video games, anime,
movies,
all that. Yeah.
all of that kind of came together, and then you kind of bringing up your father, which is really nice to hear that he had some fighting experience back in Jamaica. So I feel like there is an interconnection there, and again, you started in karate, went to
Mhm.
Orange Advance, and then eventually, once you got older, you started to like tap in, like, okay, if I want to start this business, Rob's Health and Fitness, how can I incorporate it in a way where it actually is not just, oh, you're learning a new martial art because you want to fight someone. It's like, no, like, how can I use one singular movement to like break it down into like exercise and in different
Mhm.
sets and different reps that allow people to, again, build that strengthening, the cardio, conditioning. I think that's really good. And, I feel like for you as well, I've seen some of the content that you post on your
Mhm.
Instagram. It shows that, again, it's not just for people to say, if you want to sign up and like beat somebody up, that's not the whole point of it. It's like, again, if you're trying to get yourself in the right mood in terms of like how your body is, how you want to treat it right. It's also discipline, which I think is really great because a lot of businesses, they're trying to figure out what the discipline is. And I feel like for yours, it's kind of like firsthand. You actually have to feel it physically to understand the mental aspect of that discipline. So I think that's really great.
Mhm. Yeah, what people don't realize, martial arts is it's also fitness. It's a movement. You're moving, right? Whether you want to lose weight, gain strength, right? You want to improve your focus or your mentality. You want to develop like self-discipline, the stuff like that, right? That's the whole purpose of martial arts, right? Also to defend yourself, right? You're not just doing it just to, okay, say, oh, I can use this skill. I know I can go beat up people. No, it doesn't work like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I,
Definitely, definitely.
I told my students, like, I don't want to see you practicing. Like, you can practice it, right? But I don't want to see you using your moves on like random people, right? Then like it's gonna give me a bad reputation, and then like, I'm gonna be upset, right? And then it looks bad on me, teaching other people like what I've learned, right? So that's one thing
Mm-hmm.
I always learned. Like when my coach always told me, he's like, the day I see you guys going around like beating up people using your martial arts, I'm gonna personally find you. I'm gonna kick your ass. Like he literally told us, like he said, I'm gonna bring you to the gym, and like we're gonna spar, and I'm gonna beat your ass for the whole night.
I mean,
Yeah,
I definitely don't want to be on the end of that for
no,
sure. But I mean, I understand what you're saying. Again, it is that self discipline, which I feel like a lot of us try to implement. And a follow up question I actually want to ask you. You kind of did touch upon it. Have you ever had a situation where like you've had people look up and originally they might have had that mindset of like, oh, if I learn this, like I'm gonna be legit. Like, hey, nobody's about to mess with me. No one really gonna step up to me.
well, not really, not really. I've been in a situation where I had to defend myself. It was actually a funny story. It was around the time, what was it? Yeah, around the time when Raptors were in the finals against Golden State. Before, it was like the game before they won the championship. It was a Thursday night. I went out to the club with me and my boys, and this girl started getting rowdy. She said I spilled a drink, which I didn't. I stand in one spot the whole night, just enjoying myself. Then came up to me a couple of times, kept asking me, they'll buy her another drink. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing this. So I'm looking around for my boys because I'm like, I'm at this point I'm ready to go because like I don't want to cause a scene. I avoid confrontation, right? That's me. So she kept making a scene out of it, right? Then like real, like this is real. Like she broke a Heineken bottle and started threatening me with it. So I'm like, oh,
Mm.
okay. So I'm looking around again. I don't see none of my boys. I don't see none of my homegirls. So I'm like, okay. So I slowly got into my stance. I'm like, okay. I'm just like, I'm waiting. I'm like, I'm waiting for her to strike and I'm gonna counter. Right. So, I'm grateful. I thank God I didn't hit her because, I did not want to. Right. But yeah, she ended up snatching my chain, and took it. So I'm like, other than that, like after that, I just left. I told my boys what happened. I'm like, let's go. They're like, no, 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 we gotta find her. We gotta find her. I'm like, nah, let's go. I'm ready to go home. I'm like, no, that's like, I told myself, what if I actually did hit her? I could have, give her serious damage. I could have killed her, right? So it was a good thing I didn't, right? It's a good thing
Mhm.
because security just literally came and picked her up and threw her outside.
Mhm.
So I was like, I'm grateful that I didn't have to hit her or nothing happened to me or my safety. I could have been injured. She could have, hit me with the bottle. And I'm grateful that she didn't, and
Yeah.
yeah, it happens at times. Sometimes people have too much to drink, they can't control themselves. That's why I'm like, I don't really like going out to parties as much as I used to because I realized, there's too much confrontation, too much problems. A lot of people always, they can't control their liquor. They end up making a fool of themselves. There's always a
Right.
fight and a brawl. So I'm like, no, man,
Mhm.
it's not worth it. It's really not. So usually you'll find me at home, the gym, or whatever I'm doing something.
Yeah, yeah, and I
Mhm.
I just wanna say thank you for sharing that because I know that's, like, a very personal story, and
Mhm.
I feel like for anyone who comes on here, you want them to be as open and honest, and, again, it shows, like, your true character as well, like, not being someone to, like, step into very hostile situations and make it even more hostile, so, again, I really appreciate you, sharing that little personal side because I definitely wanna get into the next question,
Mhm.
and it kinda continues on, your business, so what was the toughest part for you running a business like Rob's Health and Fitness and being an entrepreneur, but also balancing your own personal health and wellness simultaneously? Because obviously
Mhm.
you have the business side of things where you're trying to help clients, but it's also about like, what about me? Like, how can I make sure that I have this perfect utopian balance in a way where I can have my personal health and wellness main like intact, but also help the clients that I need to help?
That is a tough question. Well, trying to think. Well, I guess when really started it up was I was in college still. I think it was in my second semester or like my final, or was it my? I don't even remember. But anyways, I just said, okay, you know what? If I'm gonna do this stuff, let me take it seriously. And I created. I had no idea what I was doing in the beginning. Honestly, if you actually scroll through my Instagram page, like the first video I did was a skipping video. I went to Centennial College. I was just in the one exercise rooms, like
Mhm.
just by myself. I'm like, let me just create a Instagram account for a business, and I just posted on my personal page. I'm like, hey, follow me. I'm starting up a fitness page. Like I said, at the beginning, I had no idea what I was doing or what I wanted to do or how the direction was going to take. The first video I posted was just a skipping video, and a lot of my videos were skipping. I didn't really know what to do or what content, so like a couple exercises I would film, like if I'm doing like a squat or if I'm like doing a bench or something like that, or if I'm doing like deadlifts, and just record it and post it. That's just how I kind of started off. I'm just like I said, I had no idea the direction, what I wanted to do or where I was going to take it, right? But I noticed like I want to do something. I want to show that I'm serious, right? So I started attending business meetings. Lucky enough, I believe my first networking event I attended was at Scotiabank Arena. I got to at the time I got to meet some of the MLSE staff, right? I think I got to attend a free Raptors game. Yes, I got to attend a free Raptors game as well, right? Just networking, talking to different people in business, how they successfully started up their business, how they got to where they were, right? And I
Mhm.
just remember creating like business cards. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna put my Instagram, my phone number, and my YouTube page on it, and then just give it out to people. See, just tell them to follow me on Instagram. Mind you, I wasn't asking people to, like, for if they wanted to train. I just like, okay, let me just try and build up my Instagram and my YouTube page. I'm like, at the time, like I said, I wasn't sure what I was doing, but I wanted to do something to show them like I'm serious. I'm like, this is where I want to go. And then eventually, fast forward during the pandemic, that's when things kind of just like, okay, I was working in a part-time job and I realized, okay, I don't really like this job, but I need it because I need to make some money, right? Behind on my school fees and stuff like that. And like, okay, I'd just go to the park. I would always go to Thompson Park, link up with a couple of my friends and we just practice martial arts, whether it be Muay Thai, boxing, kickboxing. We would just train the park for free. And when you like during the pandemic, they didn't want people to come outside. So it was like, what am I gonna do? Like train home? Well, I did that, but you get bored after a while just training home or just training in your backyard. So I just go to the park, a couple friends from Markham, from Scarborough, all meet up, go to the park. Uh, at Thompson Park, I remember like way at the back, there's a hill. So we'd run up that hill, run back down, just do hill sprints. That's pretty much how we started. And I started training people for free. Literally,
Mm.
I don't even know. I don't even remember how many clients I had. Like literally during the pandemic started. I just trained people for free. I wasn't even really trying to make money. Like I just like, okay, I wasn't really sure how much to charge. Right? I'm thinking, okay, should I just charge like a $10? Should I charge 20? And then I was asking my parents, how much should I charge? And they're like 20. Like I told them I'm charging people $20. Like that's it. Like, I make no make no money after that. Like, what kind of little bit of money you charge people? You can't
Mhm.
eat off for $20. I'm like, okay, this wasn't a good idea asking my parents, right? So I was like, okay, like I said, I didn't know what to do or how. And then yeah, eventually just connected during the pandemic, connected with more like business minded people that own gyms. I was trying to reach out to people and stuff like that. Like, it wasn't really, but that's the thing because most gyms were locked down, or if they're training, like they have to train like privately, right? Because
Mhm.
the whole government thing. So it was like, I was grateful because the place I'm at now, right? I talked to a friend of mine, like put a good word from you with the owner, and I asked him like, hey man, I need a place to train. Like winter's coming, right? And I'm like, I think this was like the second year of the pandemic, right? Like I didn't have any clients at the time. I was like, I need a place to train because I'm like, I can't just keep training outside. Like I need somewhere, right? And owner was gracious enough to give me this place to train, right? And just gave me a set schedule when I can come in, when I can train clients. And, he's helped me out a lot, man. He just helped me get clients and helped me build my Instagram page. Give me ideas on how to generate more clients, right? Even give me a couple of his own clients to train, and I was grateful for that, and I'm forever grateful. And
Mhm.
just now that I have clients, I'm still grateful. I just learning now how to get more people into the gym, right? How to keep them, or how to keep clients long term, right?
Right.
So I think that's now the challenge I have now, right? With personal training is like I know how to teach, I know how to run a class, right? But it's like,
Mhm.
can you keep clients long term, right? And I think that's a problem like some people struggle with. Like even what was it? one day I was talking to one of my boxing coaches. I was just told me, hey, like I feel like I'm struggling right now. I feel like I'm not making any progress. He's like, well, that's how it is sometimes. He's like, sometimes you're gonna get stagnant. Sometimes you're gonna feel like you're gonna get stuck, right? It's part of being an entrepreneur. He said what people don't see the days where your clients they got bills to pay, they have to put in gas in their car, right? To go to work. They got stuff they're taking on too, right? They got personal issues.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense too because when I'm thinking about it, like you never know what your clients are going through, right? Unless you reach out to them and say, "Hey, how's things are going?" Right? I've reached out a couple of minds, and they're saying like, "Yeah, there are a lot of personal issues going on, so they got to take care of it. Can't train right now." It's like, all right, no problem. Let me know when you're ready to get back into the gym. Stay in touch, and that's pretty much it. That's where I just realized, okay, you just gotta keep finding new ways to keep clients long term, right?
Yeah.
I think with nowadays uh, with so much technology, like anybody can become a trainer or anybody with a martial arts background can teach or train people, right? But the challenge
Mm-hmm.
is like, can you keep people long term? Can you keep the same people you had at year one to year five or to year 10, right? And that's the thing, right?
Definitely.
So it's and that's the thing too, right? You really truly you don't really need a certification to teach, right? You can just teach, right?
Mm.
So that's a lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize, right? Even when I started up when I started doing this, like I didn't really have no, I did. I had like one certification. I got through the
Right.
school, and then as I finished my program, I got a couple more certifications. Right,
Mm-hmm.
there's another thing too. I'm still trying to get more certification. Knowledge never stops, right?
Yeah, never. It's never gonna stop for sure. And honestly, like hearing like that's part of your story, like there's just like two words that comes to mind. It's the grind and determination because it's
Absolutely.
starting to like really show like the work you put in. Like you mentioned those times where like you would go up to the hill with some people and you would train at, late at night. And I know for you from some of the conversations we have, like some of your clients will be as early as like 5 a.m. like training with you get into work. And I think it's really great because when you start to see people, in different rooms and they recognize the work that you're doing, they're going to give back. They're going to do whatever it takes to help support you in what you're doing. So, like, even you mentioned having a space, having a gym to, work with your clients. I have that same similar situation for me recently where I had a space to, do in-person interviews. And I know that was
Mhm.
something we talked about at the beginning of the episode, the beginning of the show, where we were trying to figure out where we're gonna do this conversation. Like the plan was to do it, in person, but obviously
Yeah.
things change. But I was still grateful enough to have a resource like that, so I'm being
Mhm.
able to just do the work that I'm doing. And I think it's really great to hear about your personal story because again, I think it's very motivational for anyone out there, especially on the business side of things that you're always going to have those setbacks or those hills to climb. But as
Mhm.
long as you keep working on yourself and just knowing where you're gonna be, then I think that's really the biggest takeaway. You mentioned that when you just got started, I don't know where you're gonna like do this, or like I wasn't sure how much I was gonna charge for like training my clients. You said $20, and then like your parents would
Yeah.
be like, ah, nah, you're joking. And you know what? I know you
Yeah.
mentioned you said like, oh, like I don't know if I should ask my parents. Sometimes, like, the parents are there because they want to
Mhm.
support you, and, like, sometimes they're your best advisors. Because sometimes you need that constructive criticism. I've had, like, some friends, people close to me, even, like, my family say, like, "Oh, you need to do this and do that." It's not because, like, what you're doing is wrong. It's just, like, you need to pivot in the to the right direction that allows you to see that success and see that growth. So, I mean, again, you have been like a true definition of someone who's just worked on it. And for someone who created business cards, you just started posting stuff on Instagram just to see like, okay, can I just create some buzz? Can I just create awareness to now that, okay, now that I got clients, how can I get that retention? How can I keep people going, have those long-term relationships? Because I feel like that's so important when it comes to a business, not just getting new clients, but how can I maintain them for the long run?
Absolutely, bro. And that's the thing too, right? It's like if you have a business idea, just do it, just start it. Like honestly, and then things will follow through, right? It doesn't have to make sense. You know, things just figure out themselves. The thing with me, I realize like everything happens for a reason. You know, everything will like. My thing is like I'm just very casual. Like I go with the flow kind of thing, right? So even my parents told me like, "Oh, how are you gonna support yourself?" But there's months when I don't have money. I There's months where I don't have money to pay my rent. And my parents tell me like, how are you gonna like you have this and this to pay by a certain day, and like, how are you gonna pay it? I'm like, I don't know, I'll figure it out. And I just my faith. That's it. You know, I just like, all right, I'll figure it out. I'll find a way to get money. I'll do a couple cash jobs. Help some friends, right? With whatever they need. Do like some detail inside. I'll do a little bit of demolition. Help a friend out, right? Like, sometimes there's quick cash jobs you could do, right? Like you go on Indeed, I'm like, okay, let me see if I can find like a quick job, if I can do something, or do Uber Eats, right? I'll do skip the dishes. Like that's the ways to make some quick cash, right? To help pay my bills. Sometimes it
Mm,
works, sometimes it doesn't, right? And like I said, I try not to stress about it. I'm like, things will work out. Uh, just somehow things
mm,
just automatically work out for me. I'm
yeah.
always grateful, always humble, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
the thing with people realize you're always going to struggle, you're always going to fail, right? Doesn't mean doesn't mean you have to stop, right? Doesn't mean you
Yeah.
can't continue.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. Yeah, wow, it's a powerful conversation. I love it, and I'm
Mhm.
just checking the chat to see who's messaging. We got a message from Chanel Williams. Insightful conversation thus far. Thank you, sis. I really appreciate that.
Oh,
Thank
absolutely.
you. Yeah. So, to everyone listening, if you're just coming in right now, again, you are listening to the Safe Room podcast here on Love Bay Radio. Here with Mr. Rob Taylor, a personal trainer, founder of Rob's Health and Fitness. We've had a fantastic conversation so far. It's been very deep, very introspective. So I say let's just keep the good times going and let's go on to the next question. So you mentioned business planning, and I think for anyone who's an entrepreneur, those are like the two words we
Mhm.
sometimes hate to hear because it's like there's a lot of strategizing that goes into it. But I think for you, with having such a unique business model, I want to ask you, like, how do you connect with potential clients? Do they usually come to you? Is this something again that you're trying to
Mhm.
network your brand? Maybe at different events? Is there maybe different expos that you go to and start to tell people the work that you're doing? What is usually the strategy of yours trying to again pick up those clients? And again, we can even continue on the conversation how you're trying to, you know, keep those clients as well. Is it adding more services? Is it just showing your value and your support? How does that look like?
Yeah, definitely. Well, for right now, what I've been doing is I've been partnering with a lot of other trainers. So like you'll see a couple guys. I'll shout them out like Relentless Boxing. That guy has been doing his stuff for years, and I'm grateful for him. And one of my boxing coaches, CJ the technician, right? I got to give him credit because he's helped me out a lot, right? And I work with them. We like sometimes we'll just link up, just like do pad work or do a couple videos. uh, One of my next boys, CBT MMA, right? I'm really grateful for him because he's actually sent some clients my way because right now he's fully booked, he's overbooked, and like he was grateful enough to send a couple clients my way. And I'm like, yo, like, bro, I thank you, and that was it. Like we link up with him. We've done a lot of Muay Thai videos. The next guy you'll see in a lot of my videos. His name Deshaun. His name's Deshaun. Cool guy. Yeah, me and him, we've known each other since the pandemic. We just linked up and trained in the park. And like sometimes we'll talk. I'm like, okay, we'll figure out, okay, what combo we're gonna shoot tonight. And like what combo we're gonna give the people, right? My next boy, Chris Thompson, like that guy's like my best friend. That guy's like my brother. Like me and him we go way back. We're like sparring partners. When we fight each other, it's like Goku and Vegeta. Like it's like a war. Like
Yeah.
we don't like each other. When we step in the ring, we don't like each other. And like people can tell you all the time, like even when we were training Muay Thai, like it was just an all out brawl. And like I remember one time our coach stepped in and like he yelled at us like, "That's not technical. That's not what I showed you guys. Like, what are you
It's
doing?"
getting too real. So you need
Yo,
to
it was
chill
the
out.
nah, it gets real. Like we're like when we fight each other, it gets real. It's like, yo, we're like we're trying to injure each other. Like, yo, that's it. Like the couple videos we've done, we train like we train like yeah, and like people don't realize like that guy's a monster, man. I'm like he always said I hit hard. I'm like, no, you hit hard, bro. I'm like, you not see the power you have. I'm like, yeah, but like I train with those guys. I have to give them a shout out. Like we do a lot of partnering collab. Yeah, that's a couple of ways. Other ways that I've been doing, yeah, network events. I've post a lot on IG. I've been trying to post more on Facebook. I've been trying to post more on LinkedIn as well. I feel like LinkedIn is such an untapped market, right? A lot of people don't
It is.
realize how good it is. I'm just realizing like I'm looking at my LinkedIn profile and like my bio. I'm like, okay, I gotta seriously do. I have some serious work to do. I gotta update this, right? And I
Mhm.
gotta, make it more professional. And the good thing with LinkedIn, I've reached out with a couple of people there. I got a couple clients through LinkedIn. Uh, that was how I got. What was it? I got to teach a class at a school, right? Back in December, right? It was through um, a friend of mine that he knew, like a colleague, right? And then they messaged me and asked me if I wanted to come teach at a school, right? For one day, teach 3 classes. I'm like, absolutely, right? I'm like, I would love to do that. And
Mhm.
that's one of the things too, right? Is like I just post. I don't really post a lot on LinkedIn, but usually if I do, it's just like a promo flyer, right? I don't really post my training videos. Like all my training videos, you'll see on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. But I
Yeah.
feel like for you, again, that's kind of strategizing because again, like you mentioned, LinkedIn's such an untapped
Yeah, yeah,
market. So I feel like a lot of people are trying to figure out how to navigate between it, including myself. I've been recently starting to post more on LinkedIn, and I think the strategy I'm going for is I'm trying to kind of tell a story within my posts. Whereas for Instagram, which is my primary platform, it's more of just like, okay, you start to see all the podcast side of things, but now I want to incorporate the business side of the safe room. But I feel like for you, it's really good. And, hearing all the people you've collaborated with as well or partnered with, it shows that you are starting to establish some credibility in the work that you're doing, which I feel is a beautiful thing for any entrepreneur to know when you have people who support you or that you're working with and they see your value, they see the stuff that you're bringing to the table, the credibility starts to speak for itself.
absolutely. And that's the thing too, right? It's like that's one of the ways if you want to get more clients, you got to partner with, right? And my uncle who I was telling you who did martial arts, he also needs to be a personal trainer and a bodybuilder. So like he knows fitness better than anybody. And he told me, he's like, listen, Rob, he's like, if you want to do this, he's like, you got to go and try other people's products, figure out what other people are charging, right? Like kind of base your pricing off of that. See like what they do or how they do their program or how they do a class, how they would do a session, right? And pick and choose from that, right? Ask them questions. You like say, don't be afraid. Message professionals, right? And I think
Hmm.
that's one of the good things with LinkedIn, right? Like LinkedIn, you can message professionals, right? Or you can follow them, ask them a question, right? And
Definitely.
yeah, that's the thing too. Like you meet a lot. You meet a lot of cool people, right? Even networking events too. What is it? I can't remember who I met. Well, yeah, I met a lot of networking events. I met a lot of great people that give me insight on, give me some tips on like, okay, this is what you can do, or this is what you can how to better your business, right? And I took some of those ideas, right? I started up my own clothing line, right? And I started up
Hmm.
making my own hand wraps, right? So like, not I haven't really been like promoting it, right? But like that's something I'm going to start doing more in the future. But
I
yeah,
mean there's something right there that you can
yeah,
even tap again the hand wrap. So it's again you're expanding. It's not just
yeah,
like okay the training services. It's like oh because like listen. One time I took a boxing class and obviously
yeah,
not me knowing myself, I thought okay they're probably gonna have everything on deck until I learned the hard way. Like, oh no, you got to bring like your own wraps and everything. And I thought,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
that sucks. But for you, I think that's you tapping into another market, but staying within the same realm as well. So I feel like this is really great that you're starting to spread out and start to
Mhm.
realize, okay, like it's more to just training. Like there's different elements that I can incorporate as well. So I mean, that's really great. We got another comment here. Good topic, great questions. Thank you
Oh,
so much,
absolutely.
Rhonda.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
I appreciate the comments, ladies and gentlemen. It goes a long way. It makes me just know that the work that I'm doing is great. I'm gonna be completely honest. I was feeling so tired going to this, but I'm really glad that we're having this conversation right now. It's been fantastic. So I want to get on to the activity portion. Now, this is going to be a little bit different. Now, I've done this the last couple of weeks, but this one I'm hoping we can try something a little bit different. So, again, for you being a personal trainer, so let's say I'm someone who's looking to, get some personal training myself. So, I want to kind of do some role play.
Oh,
And let's say I'm a client and I'm walking in and I see that, oh, wow, like, okay, like I see they're doing some martial arts, some boxing, some kickboxing. And I'm telling myself, you know what? I need to get back into like exercising because like last year I didn't
mhm,
do so. I'm trying to figure out how can I stay consistent, but also, maybe improve my strength and maybe my cardio is like really weak and I need to get back onto that. So
mhm,
let's do a role play situation. So hey Rob, so my name is Sean, and I noticed that I saw you across the street and like you were doing like martial arts and like it seemed like kickboxing and everything like that. Now, like I'm trying to get back into exercising myself, but I just don't really know where to start. So like maybe you can help me figure out what you can help me with, and maybe I'm able to, reach my goals in terms of my health and wellness.
mhm. Well, Sean, was it exact? Well, first thing is we got to figure out like what exactly do you want to work on, right? You said you want to work on boxing specifically. Do you want to work on kickboxing, right? So first thing we got to figure out like what exactly is it do you want to work on, and then we'll create a plan to achieve that, right? Then we also got to figure out like do you want just like a one session? Do you want but you want to sell a package, right? You want to like depending on like what you want like your services be with tailor it to it, right? So first thing I start off right just with if we're gonna do like like one session, right? One session is usually about an hour, and I charge 30 to 35, right? Sometimes it'll be an hour 45 max, and then yeah, we'll just go over a couple basics. We'll do a basic combo, right? Just jab cross, right? And we're just gonna focus on the basics of foundation, right? Get in the proper stance. Make sure you are rotating on every punches. Make sure that everything is nice and clean, right? Focus on technique. Also focus on footwork, right? And focusing on building the foundation and building that form, right? And obviously after the end of class, we do a little bit of strength and conditioning, right? A bit of cardio.
Okay, that sounds
Mm,
good. For me, I'm definitely looking to get into a mix of boxing and kickboxing. What I really want to make sure that, I'm getting through these, potential sessions is that
mm,
I'm improving my strengthening. I definitely want to improve my strength and my cardio. Again, it's so bad. Like I remember one time I
mm,
did like a marathon. It didn't go so well for me. So I feel like I just need some level of movement that's
mhm.
gonna help me to improve my cardio, my breathing, just how I, do different movements. So, is that something you think you can help me with?
Absolutely. For cardio, I'd say would you start out just 5 minutes of skipping. That's a good way to improve your cardio. Going on an exercise bike or going for runs, right? You don't have to go for a long run, right? I like to run for like about 10 minutes or so, to get a good warm up, right? I like to run at least like twice a week, right? Depending on like how much of your cardio you want to work on. But for starters, we'll focus on just skipping, right? Just skip for 5 to 10 minutes to warm up, right? Or we'll go on the treadmill or we'll go on the exercise bike to help get your cardio up, right? For strength and conditioning, right? We'll actually would would just do exercise body weight exercises starting out first, right? And then obviously we're gonna lift heavy weights after the session, right? And usually when you're lifting, I'd say at least 3 times a week, you want to be lifting weights and doing strength and conditioning.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. Okay, so in terms of my schedule, I'm usually free on Thursdays and
Mhm.
Saturdays. Is that something that we can work out a time, whether it's like maybe the morning, because I notice sometimes like my afternoons get a little bit busy. So I'm hoping I can get it at the beginning of the day just to start off strong. So I'm able to get through the rest of my tasks and objectives. So is that something that we can probably flesh out in terms of the dates, the times, and figuring out maybe a package deal?
Absolutely, right? What we can do is I can charge you $50 for 2 sessions a week, right? So that way, at least you're still saving a bit of money, right? Because then you'd be paying like what 60, it's like $60 for 2 sessions. That way, you're paying $10 less, right? So at least that way,
Okay.
we come in like Thursday we'll focus on boxing, then Saturday we'll focus on strength and conditioning.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, I think I'm gonna take this deal. Thank you so much, Rob. I really appreciate it. I
Absolutely,
appreciate your value, your insight. It's something I'm hoping to probably learn a little bit more, and hopefully by maybe the next 3 months or so, I'm able to see some improvement. But I really appreciate that.
absolutely. Let's get it. Let's get the work in.
Okay, perfect. All right, that was some good role play. That was some really good role play. I really enjoyed that, and I'm being serious too. Like that's something that I feel like a lot of people should be trying to tap into, whether it's just again to get your body right, or even just again improve certain aspects about your body, or even just to have a good mindset. I know a lot of people exercise now because it's allows them to get into a certain space where they're in control, or maybe they need to embrace some tough challenges in order to overcome those obstacles and adversity. So I feel like,
Mm.
for anyone listening out there here in Toronto, please go tap into Rob. I've been seeing the work that he's been doing. I know, again, sometimes we'll run to each other at like in-person events. It's always great to see him because like me and Rob, like we always connect. We always connect when we see
Absolutely,
each other.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Mm.
so I mean, this is just like something that I just want to let people know again. Tap into Rob and the work that he's doing because it's absolutely amazing. Again, if you're in Toronto, make sure to contact him. But that's pretty much all the questions I have for today. Rob, thank you so much for coming on the Safe Room
No problem. I
podcast.
appreciate it. Thank you again, bro. Much love and respect.
Yeah,
And for
man. Where
anybody watching, listening, yeah, reach out to me on Instagram, Rob's Health and Fitness. I'm starting up classes, boxing classes in Ajax, 2 locations in Scarborough. I'm also starting up one also downtown and one also in the West End. So yeah, next few months is gonna be busy. Let me know, message me for further details, and I'll definitely let you know.
Okay, sounds good. And thank you to everyone listening here to the Safe Room podcast here on Love Bay Radio. You can find us on Instagram at the Safe Room Official. You can also follow us on LinkedIn at the Safe Room. If you want to check out all our previous episodes, please go to Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you can listen to all the episodes we have done. We're going to be back here next Thursday. Maybe with a guess. I don't know yet, but that's details you don't need to figure out right now. But I will say we will be back next week, Thursday. And thank you to everyone in the chat for your heartwarming comments. I really appreciate it. I'm just checking quickly just to see we have and seeing great role play. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could be an actor. I know Rob's got the acting skills as well, so I definitely see it and I appreciate it. Thank you, Chanel, again for
Thank
the
you. I
warm
appreciate it.
comments. And yeah, we'll be back here next week, Thursday, here on Love Bay Radio. And we'll see you guys next time.